Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball, and look what I've got up here. I've got an alien pinball machine, aka Space Invaders. Yeah, it's more of an aliens to me. Even when I was a kid, I remember seeing this. Oh, it's aliens, and then I saw the name. It's Space Invaders, and that was like the first arcade machine I ever really played much with Space Invaders. I'm like, that's not Space Invaders, that's aliens. Dolly got sued over it. So anyway, I bought this thing in a big lot of games, and it was, it's rough. The playfield is trashed. Just looked in here. I don't know. I haven't really looked at it much at all. I'm sure it's not going to boot up. I don't know. Maybe it would. It's got, yeah, the Radicus giganticus has been living in here, or at least the Mousius minimus. Spiders have been going. You got the ground wire delete. So what happens when it's too short and you bend these things over without unscrewing that wire? So somewhere's the other end down in there. Yeah, I was going to say, let's look at the plug wire. We can tell what kind of shape this is in. And we got two of them, apparently. What the heck? Why? No, oh, wait. Okay. What? I thought it was a soldering iron. It's a hair curler. What the heck is that doing in there? I was like, that's a weird one. So it's got all three. I'm kind of surprised. I was expecting at least a ground wire delete. Oh, this is not going to do me very much good. I mean, seriously, what am I going to do with this thing? So anyway, the main thing I was wanting to do today is get this thing stood up and kind of ascertain what all it needs. It needs a little paint right there. I did, when I bought this thing, I looked at putting a hardtop or anything on it. They don't make a hardtop, or at least they didn't when I bought it. I did buy an overlay for it. I've had this thing hanging on the wall so it would flatten out. You see it's got all the art on there. And I was looking at the inserts just the other day, and they're pretty yellowed. So I think what I may do is pop out all these inserts and put in new inserts, lay down some clear coat, put that overlay on there, lay down some more clear coat, and then repopulate the playfield. And I also need to see what the situation on the boards and the transformer and all that. Just basically get a list of parts. That skirt's not really screwed in. It's kind of ajar. So anyway, let me grab some legs, get the glass off, get the head up, and then we'll see kind of what's in there and what's not. Maybe, when you find that, who knows what else we're going to find. So we just got the head bolted on there. That's 4 bolts in. The good news, all the boards are here. Bad news, a lot of corrosion on the MPU. No way this thing's going to boot up. And probably beyond, I mean, it could be fixed, but it's probably not a worthwhile endeavor economically anyway. A little bit of corrosion down on this one could be saved. I'll probably LED this game, which means I won't use this board anyway, so not so much important. These other boards, they haven't ever been updated, but they look clean. I don't see any replaced transistors. A couple that are bent over, but that's no big deal. A dead spider, all original caps on the soundboard. This auxiliary lamp driver board, everything looks original. So I'm okay with original. I'm okay with original. Yank this blanket off. You see how much the paint is missing. Okay, that's a captive ball there. There's the other original ball. It's kind of wedged up in there. Yeah, it's rough. Rough. Well, let me shut this up and get the glass off of here. I may clean this glass just a little bit before I pull it off, just because it's easy to clean this side while it's on the game. That blanket laying on there cleaned it off a little bit. pretty nasty pretty quick. So there's the telltale signs of an auction sticker or something right there. Left over. It's upside down. It's on the back side. That's what it looks like to me anyway. Could be something else. So I'll get the glass off of there. And the skirt, it's all rusted up too. I mean, it's light surface rust, but it's through the paint. I don't know. Maybe you like that patina. Probably I don't so much on the skirt. These plastics are just absolutely filthy. Just gonna do a see what this will do. They're still really yellowed. I don't think that's ever gonna look nice. If I was gonna make this a nice game, and I think I might, then I'll buy a plastic set. They're curled up. I mean, that's fixable, putting them in the oven and flatten them down. In terms of wear, they are pretty worn. These inserts are actually not, that's cupped a little bit. The rest of them are not. That's cupped just a little bit, but they're pretty flat. I was thinking I'd order all new inserts, but that's really a pain to swap them all out. I might sand them and see if that, see how much of that is just surface dirt. I think if I just use my fingernail, I mean, I'm gonna end up sanding the whole thing, so if I sand that down, I think I get that brown layer on top, just sand it off. Because I've got to sand the art off of there, because that overlay I'm gonna put on there, it's basically clear over the inserts with the artwork on top. So it'll say $40,000, not dollars, just 40,000, and then it's clear all the way around it. So like on this red one, the overlay isn't red, it's just clear. So that insert has to be pretty and glossy and everything. So the deal is you got to sand these things and clear coat them and make everything look super clear. Put the overlay on top of it, and the only thing the overlay is going to provide you is the lettering. And I'm assuming it would have that, so it would have that little picture of the Space Invader dude. So that's really a Space Invader there. Tell me that's not the alien. That is the alien dude, 100%. That's the alien dude right there. He's all over this thing. I don't know if they've got, yeah. So anyway, well, before we go any further here, I'll make a decision on these inserts. I'm kind of thinking maybe I don't. That one's the worst in terms of being cupped, but I can somewhat take care of that with when I clear coat it. Let me get this picked up. I don't know if I can pick it up with this or not. I think not. I'm gonna need, well, maybe I can get it right here. I'm gonna need two hands. I opened this up and I was like, oh shit. I don't think the transformer was in the head. I think it's missing. That's an oh shit moment. Ugh. Unless I just didn't see it. Yeah. Radicus giganticus has lived in here. Actually, that's mouse poop, not rat poop, but still. Kind of the same, kind of. She's a big body girl. Okay, let me lower this down. Let me look in the back one more time. Maybe I just missed it. No, drop that. What is that? Get this off of here. That's a beer seal. I don't know why there would be a beer seal up there. And some kind of white goop. I don't know what that is. Probably some kind of shit. What? Okay, those are all going down. What the? I'm confused. There was never a transformer here. Did I just... What? Am I going insane? Am I missing something? Okay, I see some wires with no... They're not connected. Okay, I found the 3 sets of plugs that go into the transformer. It looks like it may have set right there. So somebody stole that sucker from me. Well, before I bought it, they didn't really steal it from me. They stole it from somebody else, and then I bought it like this. So that sucks. So I just bought this game. No, that one was already on there. I just worked on a Star Trek, and the transformer was bad. It had all the wax had been leaking out of it, and I bought a home pin. It's a transformer. It's kind of set up like this: the transformer and the rectifier board. You know, they're about $300. So, you know, that's another $300 to throw into this game to get it going. Dang, that kind of sucks. But so I think I paid $200 for this game. So there's another $300 for that. At least another $200 or $167 for that MPU board. So, you know, the parts add up pretty quick. That overlay was, I don't remember exactly, like $100 or something. Maybe a little bit more. A plastic set's gonna be $150, $200. All the other plastic parts, all this, there's a lot of caps, flippers, flipper rebuild kits, blah, 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 blah. You know, I'll have at least $1,000 in parts. Or $1,200 in the $200 purchase price is like not really the issue. It's everything else. And yeah, and then there's this. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Yeah. Ugh. You see that? It's like, yeah, you know, there's more everywhere else. And if somebody was parting this game out, who knows else what is missing. Let me pick up the playfield and make sure all the main mechs are even in there. Well, I looked around the bottom of this playfield and I don't really see anything missing. I don't see like a big hole anywhere. So I think everything is in there. But yeah, okay. So I'm glad I stood this thing up, because that's, before I go anywhere, I got to get a new transformer rectifier system. I'm going to be doing some repainting. What do you think? And this one, yeah, that one just broke in too. Yeah. Great. So maybe, trying to think of how I'm going to, I need to figure out really whether I'm going to take out all these inserts. I mean, you look at the bottom and you really see how many inserts there are to take out. If I take them out, and some of these, depending on the game, they're hard to obtain. Like, you can't just go to one place and order them. You gotta, like, one place, Pinball Life will have these and somebody will have the other ones. And here's the other thing about all these inserts that really, really sucks. When you buy them, doesn't matter which one you buy. Like, if you buy that, so say that's a 1-inch circle, white, it'll have a little number embossed on the top of it. It'll have like a letter, like an E or a 12. That was a number. It was just a manufacturing. It was in the mold originally, because when they originally made these, they put in the inserts and then they planed the top of this playfield with the insert in there to make it perfectly smooth. But I'm not going to be planing this afterwards, so I have to sand every one of those inserts. You have to sand those numbers and or letters that are sticking out the top to get them flat. So you have to sand all that off on every single one, and that is a total pain in the butt. I did a firepower where I changed every insert in the game, and yeah, I remember how much work that was. I think I'm gonna do my best to try to salvage these inserts. I'm gonna strip this thing and go ahead and sand it, and then I'll make my decision if I need to buy inserts. But in the meantime, I'm gonna buy a transformer. Home pins. I was pretty happy with that last one I bought. Well, just to see what I could do, I went ahead and sanded one of these, just alcohol and a little sanding sponge, and it's pretty wide. I think that's good. There is like a brown line, and I think that's on the bottom. So I'm gonna clean the bottom and see. It may just be filth that's shining through from the bottom. I don't know. You can definitely see that line more prominently. It may be cracked. That's what I'm wondering. It almost looks like it's cracked. That's the only one I really see like that, but I may have just picked. I mean, I'm not looking at every single one, but I'm looking at a bunch of them. They are all filthy underneath, which is pretty common. But that one's got that line. I just picked the one that's the worst. I guess that's good. I'm gonna see what that looks like when it's cleaned up. So I cleaned the bottom of that out, and it is indeed a crack. So that line, I think you can see it, there's basically dirt that is migrated up. It doesn't propagate all the way to the top. This one here had one also once I cleaned it. I did a couple others and they didn't. So that leans me towards replacing them all, but my gosh, I really don't want to. I think I'm just gonna live with it. The clear coat will reinforce it. I'm gonna LED it. I might even put something on the back side of it to reinforce that also. I've got some, I don't remember exactly what the stuff is. It's like I use it for leveling. Sometimes when I've got one that's really sunk, I use an eyedropper, and it fills it in clear, and it doesn't, well, it evaporates, but it doesn't recede too much when it evaporates, and it does a pretty good job of leveling the inserts. So I could flip this playfield upside down and put a dropper full in every single one of them. That'd be easy to do. You're still going to see that little tiny line there. Although these are going to have numbers. I don't remember what number it was, but it's going to have something like that, a 10 or a 20 or a 9 right across it. So it's not real prominent. Main thing is it's white. It doesn't look like that. And I can deal with that. It's not white, like a brand new white. Like a brand new insert's going to be whiter than that, but I think I can live with that versus taking all these inserts out. Because yeah, when I remember having to sand those little embossed numbers off the top, oh, I hate that. It's such a chore. So I think I'm just going to sand this thing down and go with it. I happen to have an insert that's the right size for that. You see the difference in the color, big difference. And there's that letter. This one, for whatever reason, has a G. It's just an identifier for manufacturing. But they didn't care because they stuck that in there, playing this thing smooth, so that G got removed. But if you're going to put these in there new, you got to sand off those numbers in letters, and that sucks. So I got my transformer rectifier board ordered. And so that'll be here in a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and strip this thing down in preparation for sandings, which means I'm going to strip it pretty much all the way down. So the way I do it, so I can kind of figure out how things go back together, obviously I take some pictures. So I'll take some pictures right now, completely together. Then I'll take all the little posts off, take off the plastics, and take another picture of the posts. I mean, you kind of figure out the ones that have the holes go with the tall posts, go through where their holes on the plastic, so you kind of figure it out. But it's also nice to just have a picture of it, and I'll take a picture just like that. I'll take a picture just like that of all those. So when I'm going through, I pull up this picture and I say short post with a little head on it, short post with a head, short post with the screws, short post with the screw head. You know, so you don't have to look at the plastic while you're doing it. It's just a little bit faster. The other thing is, it's kind of nice to know exactly where the plastics are going, or at least how they were put on here right now, because they might be wrong. So that's what I do. So I'm going to put y'all on the stand, and yeah, if you want to watch this thing, and I'm going to put it on like super fast, like 10 or 20 speed. So it won't take real long. And it's just, all this shit's just going to evaporate. Now I'm going to take a bunch more pictures so I can see exactly, like where I'm putting this back together, I don't put a screw on this first level. Those screws will go through the top. And you can tell that, but if you get the top plastic and look, but it's easier when you put it together if you have a picture and you got your phone laying right here next to it. Okay, that, and okay, I put a screw there and a screw there, and it's a short screw. And I got to put that in there before I put this in there. It's just helpful. So I'll take a picture, just focus just about like that for this little piece. And I'll do a picture just like that for all that stuff. And a picture just for that. And just for that. So each little section that I'm going to work on, I'll have a picture dedicated. The other thing I do, which makes it easier for me to find the pictures, is I go around in order. So if I'm trying to find a place, I go forward or back. I mean, it sounds like trivial stuff, but when you're shuffling through, I might take 30, 40, 50 pictures. Being able to find the one I want is not a little thing. All right, so that's most everything. Still got the flippers, the stuff that's protruding up from the bottom. Haven't done that. The stand-ups, the ball switches, but that wasn't too bad. I broke one of these inlane guides. When I was yanking on it, it just snapped in two, but I can make a new one, or Steve might have one. You can, the other day I pulled off these, the Mylar in front of these pop or slingshots. You can see how beautiful this game was when it first came out. So that was factory, because it's got no marks underneath it. You could still see that it's a little crocodile, but it's still got all the luster. So hopefully when we get done, the whole playfield will look about like that or better. So anyway, I'm probably gonna have to do some more. Probably gonna have to take this off, and I gotta desolder that from the bottom. Well, that's janky looking. Yeah, this thing's a mess. I'm probably going to end up having to take this off also. I don't know if... I'm pretty sure on the hard tops, yeah, you have to take off these rails here. I don't know about the overlay, if you have to do that or not. Probably so, which is, yeah, that's a kind of a pain. I bet I do have to do that. I guess maybe I've got it hanging right over there. I could, I'll just get a tape measure, measure it. It's gonna have to, otherwise it would, yeah, it's for sure it's gonna, I'm almost positive it's gonna have to, because otherwise it'd have to lay there perfectly, and if you're just a little off, it'd be impossible. So these are gonna have to come off too. Those rails and this one. And I can prove it to this one, because that's gonna be right next to the shooter lane, and it's not gonna have a, there's no cut. You get where I can see it here. The shooter lane, don't want it to fall. fuel lane should be like right there. I'm looking at it, I believe. Yeah. There's no gap in the art or anything. So it goes on top of it. So you got the pink there and the 5,000. So yeah, it runs right up flush there. Maybe you could do it, but it would be, well, even the factory one's kind of got a gap. Well, the silk screen didn't quite line up. So I don't know, maybe. I'm gonna go ahead and take the rails off. I'm sure that's a better way to do it. Hopefully they're screwed on. Sometimes they're stapled in, which is a real pain. Oh, these are screwed. No, they're stapled. Dang it. They've got the screw holes, but somewhere during the production they started stapling. These staples are buried in there, so it's tough to get them out of there. It's got a few screws. It's got a screw there and a screw there, but it's got all these staples. You got to get those out too. And that's what I remember being a pain. That center piece there looks like it's screwed. Well, I'll get the screws out real fast. I came in this morning fresh and took all these rails off, and it was about as much fun as I thought it would be. The staples are just a pain to get off. Oh, I just realized I've got a couple of star rollovers. Those will be fun with the overlay. So I'm gonna probably have to punch those out, heat them and take them out. They're pretty nasty. So those are two inserts I'm gonna get replaced probably. So what to do next? I guess I could clean up all the rat debris. That'd probably be a good start. So the way I did this, you see these staples are at, this really nice high quality Harbor Freight tool. I just jammed it in there with a screwdriver, bent it over, and got it underneath the staple and pulled it out. And that's one that came out pretty well. That's one that came out not quite so well. You know, took a little top layer of plywood with it, but I don't know how everybody else does it. Once I got like 2 or 3 of them, then I could pry it off, and then the staples were left in there, and then they were sticking up, and then just kind of beat them back. So they were exposed, and then they came off pretty easy in the back. But anyway, kind of a pain. I have learned it's good to label these things. You can figure out where they go, but it's easier if they're labeled. You don't have to think about it. So the next thing I'm going to do, I guess, lay this playfield down. I'm going to really want to sand on this thing, so I'm going to go ahead and take everything off of this. Take that kicker there, the flippers, the slingshots. Maybe I may go ahead and take the switches off too. It's not that much. I don't know. About 45 minutes later, I got all the rest of the stuff off the playfield, with the exception of these stand-up targets here. I unbolted this one, but there's not enough room to push it through the playfield. So I was probably going to swap out these red targets anyway. Sometimes I don't swap out the red ones. They look all right, but I am on this case. So I'm going to go ahead and drill those rivets out on the back side where it's mushroomed. Just drill out that mushroom there, and then this will pop off, and then I can get it out of there. It's either that or take out that socket. And this socket's probably all crusty and gonna have to be replaced anyway too, so yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm about ready to sand this thing. I've still got some sticky stuff on underneath these overlays. I didn't take it off. I'm hoping I can just get it off the sander. It won't gum up my paper if it does. If I can just throw a piece of sandpaper away, that's a lot easier than cleaning this up with alcohol and baking soda. I've got 220 grit, so I'm gonna take a pass on here and get this thing sanded down. I didn't take out the nails, so that's gonna destroy my sandpaper. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, here goes nothing. I was sanding and just realized I've got Mylar still on these pop bumpers. Not the dead pop bumpers, but the regular pop bumpers. So I'm gonna Oh, that one's... Don't have to be exactly careful because, you know, I'm going to destroy this playfield anyway with the sandpaper. So I get a pick or something and get that freed up. I can't get my fingernail quite underneath it. I didn't stick around with the 220 for very long. I pretty quickly went to the 120 because the 220 just wasn't cutting it. I've been focusing around the perimeter mostly because when that new sticker comes down, let's say it's a little bit short and then you can see the old paint underneath it. That's a problem because the old paint's going to be yellow and nasty looking and the new paint's going to be pretty. You don't want to have a double border. The same exists here because that was probably close to white. It's like almost yellow now, but that line comes along there and then the shooter lane was bare wood. You don't want to have this old yellow sticking out a little bit underneath the new. So anytime there's like bare wood, a border, and I learned this from the put on hard tops, is you want to have a clean border. So depending on where the new sticker comes down, you're not seeing the old paint protruding out from underneath it. So I've sanded this whole thing. You can't tell on the inserts because inserts are all, and that one's a problem. I'm gonna have to do some of that. I don't want to put in a white one because it's gonna be awful. Maybe I'll put in a yellow one or something. It's a different color, so it won't be so obnoxious. But anyway, these are all slightly sunken and it's just not sanding them at all because I've got to get the artwork off and I got to get the insert clean. That's the main point of sanding this, or a big part of it. So I'm gonna have to sand those all by hand. It's just not touching them at all. So I sanded off. I got the mylar off these two pretty well. There's a little bit left still right there. It took forever. If I do this again, I'm not gonna try to sand it off, and I wouldn't suggest you do it either. I mean, you're gonna go through a lot of sandpaper. It's not sticky at all, but it's different. There's still a layer, and I'm betting the paint's not gonna want to stick to it very well. So I'm gonna got some more sanding. So I'm back at it. Well, I'm done sanding this for the moment. I feel like I've got much sanding as I really wanted to do, except for the inserts, and this sander is just not going to work for the insert. So I either do it all by hand, which I really don't want to do. I've got a pneumatic, one of those little triangular pneumatic sanders. So I'm going to bring my little portable air compressor and my pneumatic sander and come up here and sand all the inserts. I'm probably going to have to swap that out. I don't know if I'm going to pull these out or not. I don't actually know what the guide says on these. I'm thinking probably what you do is you put down the insert or put down the overlay, cut the hole, and then put these in flush after you put the overlay down. I think that's the way it's got to be done. Because otherwise you're gonna have to clear coat over it, clear that out, put the overlay over it, cut it out, clear coat again, go over it again. It's like by the time you're done, you're not gonna have it. It's going to be all gummed up, so with paint and sticker and everything else. So I think probably those are going to have to come out. I think I've never done an overlay, but I'm pretty on the hard tops, I'm pretty sure those come out and you put them in afterwards. So anyway, I'm going to go out for lunch and go get a compressor and a different sander, and Django is ready to go. So I've got most of the inserts done. Got a few left, just these over here. I'm gonna go back and I've got fairly aggressive. I think I've got a 120 or 140 grit on here. So yeah, I'm kind of standing here in the parking lot, so I don't have to breathe as much dust. So it's in the process of doing this. Well, I'm trying to get my headphones on. I guess I'll leave them on for the moment. This one was the worst one cupped, but the rest of these you can barely tell they're cupped, but they definitely are cupped because when I use the palm sander, it didn't touch them. So I have to use this one and kind of put it in the corner, and I'll show you. And the most frustrating thing about this thing for me is my shop. I just brought in this little portable compressor, and it sucks. I've got a 220 volt at home, and it will keep up with pretty much any tool I throw at it, continuous. And it's not about a tenth as loud as that thing too. So this thing, I can do like 2 inserts, and then I gotta wait for it to charge back up again. So that's the biggest hurdle for doing this. And it's really noisy. I gotta wear earmuffs and everything. So anyway, I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna try to get this thing clean. And I may try to go ahead and paint this today. Well, I did a lot of extra sanding. I just flipped this. I had this thing hanging so it'd be flat, and I flipped it over and looking at it, and they've got this simulated wood grain all around the perimeter. So I didn't have to sand this border because you're not gonna see the wood underneath, because it's got basically a picture of the wood. So all this stuff I sanded here, I didn't need to. I just needed to get it sanded clean so that this thing will stick to it, or so I can paint it more, to be honest. So I decided I'm going to take these things out. I don't see any other way to do it. I couldn't see any direct guidance. I know on the hard tops you do that, so I'm going to do that on these. And I'm going to heat them up with a heat gun. Use a hairdryer if you don't have one of these. I think I paid $7 for this for Harbor Freight. Just heat it up, and then my experience is they'll press out pretty easily once they get hot. So I'll get after there. They're out. I heated it up till the tip of that started getting, well, it's still flexible, and just jammed a screwdriver in the side, and it popped right out. So that's done. So I'm gonna sand this down a little bit finer, down to like 400, sand the whole thing. And then I'm gonna probably need to tape off a bunch of stuff so I don't get paint everywhere. That clear coat, man, if you get it on your contacts, it's bad news. So I need to get this thing taped up at least as much as I can, and then clear coat it. And then I'm gonna have to let this thing sit I'm gonna let it sit a week or two anyway, at least a week. Because what happens is once it's drying, it's releasing all these gases. As you put this one too soon, those gases won't have anywhere to go, and they'll bubble up. Lots of people have had that experience with these. The other thing is, you see a lot of pictures. If you go on YouTube or Facebook, you can see Facebook and or Pinside. They put the posts in and turn the post, and it will crease this. So what appears to help keep that from happening is put another clear coat on top of it, and then again waiting a long time before you populate the game. So I'm probably at least 2 or 3 or 4 weeks before I put all this nonsense back on. So that's the problem with doing these projects, is like I tear it apart, and then it's forever before I get to put it back. And really, if I'm on it, I really need to paint it and wait. I'd like to wait 3 or 4 weeks, really, because I do not want this thing bubbling up. I might go ahead and just wait a month, and then stick this thing down. And once I stick this thing down, I'm going to do it dry, so there won't be any water involved. So I think I can go ahead and clear it. I could probably stick this thing down and clear coat it the same day. So anyway, I'm gonna get to sanding, get all this dirty stuff done. So one of the things you need to do, I've learned about after reading this, the guide anyway, is to mark where all the holes are at. because once the sticker goes down, you're not going to know where the hole is. So you know there's a post, but you don't know exactly where it is. So you need to be able to poke a hole to find it, but you need to know where the hole is at first. So you need a template of sorts. So I have this piece of plexiglass here, or thin plastic, and I'm going to get a magic marker. I was just thinking to myself, how am I going to transfer the hole from the plastic to, once I'm done, I've got this thing, I've got my clear coat down, I've got my overlay down, I've got my other clear coat down, and I'm going to want to drill a hole. And I lay this on top of it, I'm going to have a hole in this, or I just drill through this. That's what I'll do. Okay, so I'll have a dot, I'll drill through the plastic and hopefully hit that hole. So I need to have a register, and that's what this is. Okay, so I need to be able to put this on the playfield, and then a month or two from now, be able to put it back in the exact same place so I can find all these. And unfortunately, my piece of plastic it's big enough for half the playfield, but not this. So I'm gonna do it two-sided. I've got a red and a black marker. So I'm gonna do one side black, one side red. So I'm gonna figure out exactly where I'm gonna put it so that I can get all these holes. Like even these, like, so this is the shooter lane. How do once this overlay goes down there, those are hidden. So you've got this big hunk of metal, like where does it go? You gotta have something like this. So I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna use for a guide. I may just use the edge of it. I need to figure out front and back where I'm gonna put it. Something that I'll be able to see after the fact. I might use this, because I'm still gonna have that hole there. That'll be pretty easy to find. If I use that hole, this edge, and then maybe this hole up here, that will place this on this. That will pretty much locate this. I think that's what I'll do. Like, I've got them all marked here. I went ahead and marked all the, oh, I missed that one. Shoot. Let's get that real quick. Oh, missed another one. Jeez. I didn't put these in because those are going to get screwed in from the bottom, so I don't need to know where they're at. Oh, there's another one. These don't have to be real precise. As long as I get in the middle, I'm basically going to Dremel and just Dremel that thing out, because it'll be clear. Well, once the overlay goes down, it'll be clear, and then I'll probably take the overlay off then, not put the clear coat on top of it, because then I'll have to Dremel out the clear and the overlay. So, yeah. So I think I've got all these. Again, those holes in the back, those are coming up from the bottom to hold that rail on, so I don't need to know where they're at, because I'm going to be drilling from the bottom. If y'all see anything, that almost looks like something, but I don't think it is. I think it's just a pinhole in the playfield. It's too small to be anything real. So now what I'm gonna do, it's a little confusing. I'm gonna put, okay. Yeah, I need that. Red goes on the right. And I'm gonna write another note. Against edge. All right. So I think between I'm writing myself some notes for a month from now or two. My 3 guides. I mark that one pretty accurately. I marked that one pretty accurately. So if I get those 3 pretty good, then everything else should be lined up. So now I'm gonna take this piece of plastic, flip it over, put black on the other side and do the left side. And I kind of need to keep track of where I'm at, because I don't need to do the center. I should have stopped at the center, but anyway, I need to do that and everything to the left of it. So one pop bumper on each side, and I need to do this. That sounds like something. Missed that one. Yeah, once you get it sanded, you see all the carnage. The clear filled all that stuff in. All right, so I'm gonna put this phone down and flip this sucker over. So I think I got the left side here all done in black. I'll probably miss some. And I missed that one and that one. As soon as I get the camera out, and that one, that one too. Jeez, as soon as I get the camera out, I see them, they pop up. It's just like when I'm looking for something. Hey Jane, where's this? As soon as I ask where it's at, I find it. I mean, I tell you. So I can already know that I'm gonna regret doing this two-sided, moving it back and forth. It's going to cause me confusion and cause difficulty, and I know that. I knew that before I started it, but I just wanted to get it done. Tomorrow guy is going to pay for today's guy's laziness, not going to the craft store and buying another sheet of this, and a big sheet. And because I was done sanding, and I just kind of I'm already over this. A day of sanding, and I don't enjoy doing the carpentry or painting and prepping, and I'm not really into it. So I just kind of wanted to get this thing done, this part of it done anyway. That's what I realized. I don't like the painting. I especially don't like the prepping for painting. It's not much fun for me. So, but it's about ready to paint. I've got it taped on the backside on most of the major holes, so it just needs to be cleaned up a little bit more. There's some debris, and I haven't cleaned it at all really, other than sanding it. Shouldn't have any wax, but a lot of cleaning, and then it's ready to be painted, and then sit in the corner for at least a week or two or three. Okay, so here's where I'm at on this Space Invaders. So when I first sprayed it, I put on I'm having trouble with my light. I put on a light dusting, and then about 10 minutes later, I put on another light dusting, and then that was like at 9 o'clock this morning, and then about lunchtime, I put on a light coat, and it is 2 o'clock now. So it's been a couple hours since the light coat was put on there. You see, it's kind of patchy because I didn't flood it. I just wanted to get a pretty solid coverage. And so I'm just doing increasingly heavy coats. The problem that I've had in the past is if I stepped up to a heavy coat too soon, where I really just pull the whole thing and try to let it self-level, is like around the inserts. I don't want to touch anything. My hands are totally greasy right now. It would just like evacuate, make a little hole of like down to the bare wood, and in fact it would like dissolve the previous coats like this, and it would be completely bare. So I'm trying to go slower and get this stuff stuck down where it's my idea. So somebody that knows how to paint, somebody can inform me, but the idea for my idea anyway is when I'm spraying down these light coats, it's not really a continuous layer, so that the paint really can't flow. So it's just a whole bunch of little tiny dots. So they're static, and they've got to stick where they're at. So that's my idea anyway. So in a couple of hours, I'm gonna put on kind of a lightish medium coat. That'll be like 4 p.m. today. And then tomorrow morning around 8 or 9, I'm gonna come in and put a medium heavy, and that may be my last coat. I might put one more tomorrow afternoon about 4. So you have like 24 hours to repaint this stuff without having to sand or anything, and I don't want to have to sand in between. So I'm keeping all my coats within 24 hours. So I did this Evel Knievel. It looks the same, so I'm going to cover this back up, let this cook for a couple more hours, and then put another coat on before I head out today. Well, it's the next day, and this is about where I wanted it. You can, it's dry to the touch. I really shouldn't touch it because I'm gonna put more paint on it. You it's still kind of granular, which is kind of what I was wanting to get to, because I didn't want any of this to migrate. So I'm going to put one more coat on, a pretty heavy coat, and hopefully level it out, and hopefully it will not migrate. It won't leave any empty spots. So that's my goal. So I'm going to put down one heavy coat and just flood the whole playfield with it, and cover it up and let it bake, and we'll bake. Let it off gas, and we'll see how it turns out later in the day or tomorrow. All right, it's been about an hour since I flooded this. I would have put a little more paint on it, but I put in one can across the 2 games, and I was a little bit short, and I didn't want to shorten this one because this is the last time I'm going to be touching the playfield on this one. On this one, I'm still going to put the overlay, and then I'm going to put more paint on it. This one was just getting a smooth surface to put the sticker down to, basically the overlay on. So I'm pretty happy with it. The inserts look okay. That one up there looks like crap. You see the big crack in there. That being said, if that's the problem when I'm done with it, then I will have succeeded. You know, I look at that as like, oh, I should have taken that out. If that's what my problem is, I'm okay with that, because you know, you got to remember where this thing's coming from. This was in a storage container. I mean, it's rough. I did get in my new home pin transformer. It came in the mail, so I'm gonna cover this thing back up. It's like I said, it's only been an hour. It's not sticky anymore, but it's very soft still. So this is gonna sit for, I don't know, at least several weeks, and then Jane and I are going to put down this overlay best we can. I'm scared to death of doing it, but that's what we're going to have to do. So it's been about 4 weeks, just a couple days short of 4 weeks since I sprayed this. There's no scent of anything. There are some little, I don't know what you call them, tiny little high spots, little bumps that stick up there. They're a little sharp. I'm sure it's little dust particles that got in this when it was drying. So I put some 2,000 or 2,500 grit. That may not be enough. I'm gonna just I just want to knock it down so it's nice and smooth. And they're very infrequent. Like every square inch, there's a little tiny. It's almost sharp. I don't think I could film them, but if you put there's one right there. Yeah, you see that right at the end of my finger? It looks like there's 2 of them. It's really, the second one is one that's sticking up. So there's probably smaller ones. I could see on the camera. They're looking close. Anyway, so I'm gonna see what I can do. I may try to put some water on this and try to wet sand it. I don't know. Not much of a sander. I'm gonna figure it out. So I checked, and that was actually 2,000 grit, not 2,500. And you can see I sanded the whole thing. I only spent like 2 or 3 minutes, and all those little high spots are gone. I just had a damp rag, and I kind of wet it before I did an area, and it is smooth as a baby's butt. You see stuff like that? That is a very slight high spot right there, but you can only barely feel it. I don't know. Those are very slight high spots. Maybe I should sand a little bit more. Maybe I will. So I cleaned that up with some naphtha and a clean rag. I'm just laying this overlay on here for the first time, and it doesn't actually fit in the cabinet. It's a little bit wider than the playfield, so I'm gonna have to trim it just a little bit, because I'm gonna use this. I'm keeping the playfield in the game when I put this in here. And so what I just realized is this wood grain here amounts to this wood grain here. So essentially that rail that sticks up here will be on top of that. And if everything was aligned perfect, in a perfect world, it would come right up to that white right there. So I can cut off, you know, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch safely from this side over here without, you're never gonna see it. I could probably, and likewise, I could do the same thing on this side because you've got the rail that goes along this whole edge that sticks up, keeps the ball from falling out. So the first, you know, half an inch or so is buried underneath that vertical rail. So I can safely take off an 1/8 to 1/4, and I don't need much. I really only need an 1/8 total, but I'm gonna take about an 1/8, just with a pair of scissors. I'm gonna trim an 1/8 of an inch off this side, an 1/8 of an inch off this side, so I'll get a 1/4 inch in there, so I'll have a little bit of room to slide it back in left and right. And I'm gonna want that tomorrow. So it's late in the day, it's 4 o'clock. Tomorrow I've got a buddy coming, and Jane's gonna be here, and we're gonna throw this thing on here. I just wanna get prepped for that, so I'm gonna get some scissors and trim this thing real quick. So I cut a strip about like that off either side, and at the top it's fine, but about halfway down it's still kind of compressed, not gonna work. So this thing was not very well trimmed. It wasn't straight. So I'm going to trim a little bit more off both sides, particularly here in the middle section. And so I've got a little wiggle room so I can get, because I got to get these things lined up with the holes. I mean, maybe they're perfectly lined left and right, but probably not. So I've got this fluorescent bulb. It came with a pinball machine I bought. It was actually sitting right here, and that little curled piece of cardboard was so it wouldn't blind you in the eye. Basically, the Playfield lights, all the GI lights on the Playfield were dead, and this was the GI lights, basically. It's kind of a homebrew. Yeah, it kind of worked. Well, it wasn't the best solution, but it was a solution. But anyway, I'm going to stick this inside the cabinet so it'll shine the light up through the inserts, and hopefully be able to see it through here so I can kind of get this lined up. I'm just going to play with it here tonight, see if I can get it kind of close. So I turned the overhead lights off so you can see through here better, and I'm starting to get these things lined up, and it needs to come this way a little further, but I'm up against the edge here, so I need that side's trimmed enough. This one I was real comfortable trimming because I know where the edge of the paint basically is. I know all of that is supposed to be under the wood. This side I was hesitant to trim, but I know for certain that this has got to move over. So I'm going to trim at least another 1/8 inch off this side border here so I can get this thing to slide over a little bit and get it adjusted. I'm going to need a bit better light too. These GI lights are not quite big enough. Like these, you can see it, but you can't really discern the border very well. Just not a bright enough light. So gonna have to do a little bit better. I think the registration is fairly decent, though. I mean, if I get them, just a second ago, I had them all pretty well centered. I'd say this one is as good, from what I can tell right now, is the registration, when I say getting all the holes lined up at the same time, is not the holes, but the inserts, is as good as the hard tops I've used. Usually you have to compromise a little bit. You know, if these are lined up, then those are off a little bit, and vice versa. So you kind of put them in the middle, and I usually favor the ones down here, make them like have 1/3 of the error and have those 2/3 of the error, because those are further away, so you don't see them as much. And like that one, you got these pop bumpers right in front of it. You're gonna see it, but not that much. So you kind of play those games and see, you know, what really matters. This stuff is like right in your face. So you really want this to line up. So. But I think it's going to line up okay. So, but anyway, I'm going to trim this here real quick. All right, it's the next day. I got another light in there, an LED one. It's a little bit brighter, and it's got the light overhead lights on, and the thing is fairly smooth. I can still I just found another little spot right there. I've been going through and just with my hand finding and trying to smooth off the little spots. I did not take these nails out. I think I mentioned that earlier, and they are definitely raised. I am hoping that doesn't present too big of an issue. It may totally mess things up. I'm hoping. I mean, obviously you can't see those nails when the pop bumper is put in, but if those creases, and they're going to make some creases if they extend way out, then that's going to be a real problem. So I'm going to have to pay real special attention to those areas. This insert here is really sunk. All these inserts, they've got the bulbs in there, so they're shadowed. And some of them I haven't cleaned them either. Some of them are really nasty, and some of them are cracked, like that one. So, you know, I'm trying to do this with wouldn't say minimal effort, because minimal effort throws things in the trash. What a lot of people would have done. Just like a moderate amount of effort, something that's what I would consider, for me, be reasonable for Space Invaders. I mean, if you're a collector and you want to have one perfect, this is not the way to do it, for sure. So I'm cutting corners, and I realize that. I don't need people to tell me that. So we're gonna see how well this may be, I may end up buying a new Playfield by the time it's over. Well, if there is a Playfield, I don't even know if there is. Maybe. I guess I should have looked before I bought a new Transformer. Anyway, so I got a buddy coming over. He's going to be over here in a little bit. I'm going to get some naphtha and clean this up, get a tack cloth, clean it up one more time, and we're going to put it down. I'm going to do it dry, so I put the whole thing down, clamp it in place, and or put big heavy parts and fold one half up, pull the sticker off, lay that down, just easy as pie, you know, and then pull the other half up, and then it'll be hinged at that point. And, you know, we'll see how well that works. It works real well on the hard tops. It's pretty easy, but the hard tops are so thick, it's almost impossible to get a wrinkle. It is impossible to get a wrinkle. And I don't hardly think you can get a bubble in one of those things either. I almost think you could just let it go whack, and it pretty much on those hard tops, it'd be all right. I mean, they go down, as long as you get it lined up, they get on super easy. I've not done one of these, but I've read enough horror stories that they're bad biscuits for sure. I guess the other thing I did since last night, I just got this little piece of wood and I screwed it in place here. I'm gonna have to trim this a little bit because it's got to come up a little bit further. But I got the Playfield out of the cabinet, just that way I can clamp this real easy on the side, and that'll make it easier to get it in place. But I'm gonna have to get it all lined up. I think I'm off a whole hole. Yeah, I'm not even close. Anyway, I'm gonna get it lined up a little bit. I haven't cleaned it yet, I'm just playing around right now. So I got this about halfway lined up. I trimmed the bottom. I left a little piece here so I can have about 15 million tries to get the backer off without pulling the adhesive off with it, if you know what I mean by that. So, you know, if you pull the adhesive off, I cut it, try again, cut it, try again, cut it, try again. And up here, I just marked where these screws are at, because this is the screws that are holding the Playfield down to this are in the way. So, I mean, the screws are on where the rail will be. So if I cut it properly, you won't ever see this. So I'm gonna cut a little notch there and a little notch there. So when this comes down, and I'm gonna do this part second. I'm gonna do the part you see first, or closest to you first, and then do this one. But I'm putting a notch in those two spots for those two screws. After notching that and laid it back down, it still wasn't clearing. So I just went ahead and drilled a new hole and put the screw out of the way. Did that on both sides. Had to trim that a little bit. And so I've got it, not perfect, but I've got it pretty close to where it's gonna be. I've got, this is looking good, because that's all within the, where the rail is gonna go. I've got this trimmed except for the corners here, which I left a little bit long. This side actually overhangs a little bit over here, so I'm gonna trim this a little bit more. And then the back is hanging over. You can see quite a bit. So I'm gonna trim the back. I may get this in place and just put a little fold in it so I can see where to cut it. Do something like that. And then do a cut on there. And I think it's probably better to cut this thing before it goes down. I mean, you could do it afterwards, but I don't know. I guess you could get a razor blade and do it like that, but I think I'm gonna cut it before. I don't know if that's better or worse, but that's what I'm gonna do. All right, so I've got this lined up about as well as I can. It's kind of a compromise, especially between this arrow and this arrow. They're too close together, so let me get the light and show you. So like that one it needs to go right and down a little bit. And this one needs to go, well, that one also needs to go right and down, but the problem is these are already too far right and down on these bonus. And that's about as far as I want to get. So that one is like way off. It gets better as we go up. I tried it lots of different ways, and it's kind of concentrating my error right where I don't want it on the one, but it's only a couple of them. If I get that one working, then like that one is like it's not even lined up on the little stem of the arrow. You can't even see the stem of the arrow. So it's not perfect, but it's not going to be perfect. And to be fair, if you look at the old games, the inserts, you know, they're never really right around. That black border is never really right around the inserts. A lot of times it's on the insert. So not perfect, but this is where I've got it at. So I've got it clamped here, there. I got just some weights here. We're gonna fold this thing up, tack cloth one last time, and pull the backer off and squeegee it down. So I'll put y'all in the stand and y'all can watch the horror. All right, here we go. Yeah. Only thing we don't want, let me get my glove off. Can't have that. Just don't want to drop it. Well, that came off easily. I'll hold it and cut. Well, it's not looking like flexible at all, which is good. Okay, with the scissors. I was nervous. All right. So maybe stand back behind here, and just like stand back behind here and like let it down slowly. Yeah. I'm gonna kind of just like, yeah, just let me push it down. Saw that crease, but I was like, that's the edge of the sticker or the backing. You know, I almost just kind of want to, because I know these inserts are kind of sunken. I need to use my finger to squeeze into them, I think. If there's any air, I need to. Yeah, I can see on the clear ones, it's not fully adhered to you, like kind of rub it with your finger.
Yeah.
Partly because they are sunken.
You need to see with their backer on, so.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, it's too late.
This is going 90,000 times easier than I thought it was going to be. Oh my gosh, that's a fail right there. Can you bring that up a little bit, maybe? Not really.
Takes some effort.
These come up right there. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's good. I got ahead of myself. You can see those
Little
nasty
bubble between
inserts.
the 60 and the orange.
The 60.
Couple bubbles there.
Oh my gosh, yes. Dang it. Can we come up like that high? Just take your time. Maybe not. Off a little bit. I didn't even see those. Jane, dang! Pull up a little bit.
If I start on the corner, I can probably.
Okay, I think we're there. Yes. Yeah, I need to get down where I can see better. More squeegee, less thumb. Oh, look at that bubble there. Yeah, we do it one more time. That red. Making up the playfield. This is not ideal. But it was going really great. Okay, I think we can get it out now. Okay.
I heard people like use like you got a heat like a hair dryer and it's like stretchier or something.
Get a little less tension. This one goes over this. There's some. Really.
You got your fix.
No, I need something sharp. Fresh. Where's that one? Right here. I'll do it in the black. Wow, that totally let it out.
Yeah.
So that's you can't even see it. I mean, there's a little.
Yeah, that clear's gonna cover that.
That clear's gonna cover it. So
Put that little one right there.
especially in this black area, it's like.
No, probably doesn't really matter, but don't let this spread. Right?
Well, and make the clear coat unstable because it's like moving around. Drive it towards those holes. I don't really see any others. There's a little, is it just like, just. All right, so we just had lunch coming back and we tried this other half. Oh, let me get. Run the tack cloth over here one last time. All right. I guess I don't want to cut too hard and cut too deep into the paint. Make a hole. I think that looks better than that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say, Django?
Jane, your head's right in the screen there.
I've been told I have beautiful hair, so I thought your audience might appreciate that.
Afraid what you were gonna say. Ah! Get the black. Well, you live and you learn. Ah!
Oh, John.
Oh, mistake. God damn it. Okay, well. Yeah, that's a mistake. We'll deal with that. I think that's what sandpaper is for. We're going to clear coat it again anyway, right?
That's just the original art going up over that part?
No, that's
No.
putting black around all the
holes.
holes, but that's
That wasn't meant to be black.
so you paint black around all these. So if you see it like that, it just
okay.
matches. But we did that one, and that
I
one
got
should not have the black
I
around
got
it, and it's under the paint. So it's like to get it out of there, you gotta paint. The paint's really pretty thin, so that'll sand off. It ain't nothing but a thing. But it's still worth it because I hate this. I mean, I hate this fake wood look here. It looks so unoriginal. Even with that, I like this, even with the black error, better than this.
Yeah, I agree. Fake wood's just too fake looking. And you can kind of see through it too.
Hey, puppy dogs.
Somebody at the door?
No. They-
This is kind of hard to do.
I'm so glad you're doing it.
I don't know if you're supposed to do this. I don't think you are, but I'm making a command decision. I'm doing it. Can't stand it.
I really don't know what you're supposed to do to push it down into that rail guide either.
It would be awkward. Were you gonna come down on this side too?
No, because there's going to be a rail that goes there. You won't ever see
Okay, so
it.
you want to see
There's a
it.
piece of wood.
Gotcha.
There's likewise, there's a piece of wood right here. Into here. So that's going to have to be sanded. That really should be sanded there too. Same issue. So, if y'all in YouTube world can't see what's going on here, that right there is a mistake. That should not have been painted black, and it was. Kind of like around all these inserts are painted black, so the fact that it's not registered quite exactly right, you see that black underneath there, it kind of makes it not as noticeable, which is the idea for doing all these. Unfortunately, it's got wood around it, so I'm gonna have to sand that paint off and sand the black off. It's gonna get another thick coat of clear steel, so just extra work. But all in all, I'm pretty happy. The registration's not perfect. I don't think I could have done much better with this because it just doesn't match perfectly. This is probably the kind of some of the worst of it. But if this was right, then everything else was really wrong. So
They shouldn't have printed white around the inner.
printed white.
This is white
Oh.
printed.
Yeah, there
should
should
have
not
done
have been
that.
a white ring around there. So that's an error. So that's a copy of probably the original Playfield that's the way it was on original. But that ideally that would have been corrected for this overlay, not have that white, because that would have made it again not as noticeable. But it's the way it is.
Some things will never change.
Yeah. So I've got some sanding to do, And then I'm gonna clear coat this all again, and then let it sit for another month or so, and then repopulate. So I got that mistake sanded off. So now instead of having a black splotch, I'm gonna have a clean splotch. So that's all right. Got, I think, all the holes cut out. So I think I'm ready to do some more painting. Put some bulbs back in all the sockets, and geez, I'm just looking at it. I see a couple of little, see those little tiny raised areas. Just a little pinprick, and those things would go completely flat. I've done a bunch of them already, but there's a few more to do. But came out pretty decent, I'd say. I thought I had the registration about as good as I could, but looking at it a little closer, the whole thing is down a little bit. I mean, it would have messed up the top. The top is perfect, but when I first started, I said I'd rather have the bottom right than the top right, and I've got the top right and I got the bottom wrong. So, but even here, like that one's almost perfect, and that one's way off, and those are just like real close together. And these white rings, we were talking about it here. We're thinking maybe when this thing was printed, this product is probably inherently white. So the registration of the black ink on the overlay was shifted. So that's what caused all these white rings, unfortunately. But not that big a deal. It's going to be way, way better than what we started with, that's for sure. And I'm actually pretty happy the way it went on. A lot better than I thought it was going to. So yeah, I may just mash this thing down a couple more times. Maybe let it set overnight. I don't know. There's not really any off-gassing to speak of, and there's really no way it can off-gas. Kind of thinking, I don't know. I could just let it sit for a week or two, and because I know people have problems with them bubbling up. If they're going to bubble up, I'd rather have it bubble up before it's got paint on it. So maybe I should. So it's been about a week and a half since my last clip on this Space Invaders. I just got through cleaning the thing with naphtha, used a lint cloth, and then I sprayed my first coat of 2K. I looked at the overlay, and it had not bubbled up in the week and a half, so I felt like it was good. So I just sprayed it like about 5 minutes ago, and so I'm gonna let this off gas for another 10 or 15, 20, 30 minutes, and then put down another real light coat, and process begins. I'm gonna try to put down 2 full cans of this stuff before on this final coat. So this is what I'm using, and it really helps. This is the first time I've used it with a gun. It really helps. You just get the button pressed all the way, and it keeps your finger off the nozzle so you don't get drips. Little things make a big difference. So I put a second coat on here, pretty light coat. So I've used maybe a half a can. That is a drop. When I first put on my nozzle, I didn't have it lined up with the hole in the front, and I hate that. But hopefully by the time I put the heavy coats, that will kind of melt away. It's still looking granular because I haven't flooded it yet. Like I said, I've got about half a can left. I'm gonna put that on at the end of the day. So this will have like 5 hours to kind of harden up. And then I'm gonna probably put maybe a whole nother can on tomorrow. I'm definitely well, I don't know for certain, but I'll probably put another can on tomorrow. We'll see what it looks like in the morning. But I'm pretty happy with it. It's not perfect, but I'm not going for perfect. I'm going for hopefully pretty good, and we'll see. Let's bake for another 4 or 5 hours, and then put on a heavy coat. All right, it's the next morning, so it's been roughly 16 hours since this went down. You can repaint within 24 hours per the can, and so I'm mixing up, and I'm gonna throw another heavy coat on here, and probably 2 heavy coats. We'll see how it goes. Well, I'm still masked up, so I can't talk very well, but so I put on that whole can, or there's just a little bit left. I flooded the whole thing. With about a half can. It really wasn't as wet as I wanted, so I just went ahead and put the whole thing on there. I covered it up, I got the exhaust sucking it out of here, so it comes out pretty quick. I'm gonna go in the other room, get out of these, so I get my mask off, and let this sit, and by the end of the day, I ought to be able to see what it looks like. Anyway, so it'll be about 2 seconds for y'all. So it's about 8 hours since I flooded this thing this morning. It's mostly dry. I mean, it's going to be in a month or two before I can play on it, but pretty happy with it, to be honest. It's certainly not perfect, but I wasn't going for perfect. I mean, you can see best here in the shooter lane because it doesn't have a backdrop, but the backdrop is really busy, which is actually perfect for me because I didn't do a super great job, so you can't really see all the imperfections so much. But you can see them more in here if you look. You know, like that little high spot right there, or a low spot, and I'm just dust and dirt. It's just not, I'm not in a clean enough environment, and I'm using a spray can ultimately, so it just doesn't lay down as well, and I'm not a great painter, so, you know. But that being said, well, here, let me walk over here. I'll show you the one that's, I don't know if I ever showed this final done. I did the same thing this Evel Knievel. I still haven't rolled the ball on it because it's been about, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks, but I just really want to let this thing cure. It came out great. I mean, it's not perfect, but geez, there was so much paint missing on this thing, and you know, really, once you get them dressed up, it takes your eyes away from all the imperfections. If you saw the video, that's one where I touched his head. You can't tell he's got you know, there was no paint on his forehead. There's a big gash right there from that scoop. If you get in the light, if you get the light to shine right, yeah, you see. And I've also got the overhead light, but you can see the divot basically is still there. But you know, you're back here playing, and it's gone. Like I say, it's not this strategy I'm doing is not a perfection strategy, but it'll take a game that looks like pretty crappy to something that not everybody is going to like this, because they're like, you should have done it like this. Well, you know, there are people that do way better jobs, but you can't afford to pay them to fix your game either. Not really. In fact, I don't really do this. I'm not hardly willing to do this for anybody else either. I only really do this for my own games, even cutting corners, because I don't know that I can make any money doing this for other people. Even cutting the corners that I cut, it's still a whole lot of time. So I do it for my games, but not really interested in doing it for other people. Maybe if I got a lot faster at it, but still a lot of time. So anyway, after this thing, I'll probably let it sit for at least a week or 2 or 3 before I start thinking about populating it. But I'm going to cover it back up and just let it sit back here for 2 or 3 weeks. Wait till it gets at least hard for the fingernail. Right now, yeah, I can still put a fingerprint in it. And, you know, I probably shouldn't do that, but that's behind the skirt and everything. You're not going to see it. So, anyway, I'll let this cook. So it's been a few weeks. I got this thing out in the lobby here where I can see it. Got some better light. Got all the tape off of it. It doesn't look quite as good as I hoped to, but I'm telling you, it looked a million times better than it did. There's little bumps everywhere. If you look close, like there's some right there. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be good. My intention is to, I don't know how far I'm going to go with the cabinet. The cabinet's pretty rough. I may just take the armor off of it and the legs and just get it powder coated. You know, she's an old gal. She needs a little makeup. I don't think I want to repaint the cabinet. I haven't done anything to try to clean it. It might clean up pretty well. The head is probably worse than the sides because it's just like missing paint. But, you know, some black would go a long way right here. If it was just black, you wouldn't even notice. Somebody started that here with like maybe a magic marker or something. But it's just black and white and red. If it was like just the black, if the missing was just all black, that would take care of 90% of it. But anyway, I'm going to end this video here. I got my transformer in. If y'all remember from the start of this video, the transformer was gone. I've got it set in there. I'm going to start the next video right there. So if you like this video, click like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. You're a video star, Django. Cheers.